All right, greetings educators. I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm at the Marriott Inn, or one of the Marriott motels in Washington, D.C. Our chapter is on philosophy of education, chapter 10, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about technology and education before we get started in that, because that's the next chapter that we're going to go to. Chapter 11 is technology and education, and I wanted to show you how easy it is to take the technology with you if you have just a little bit of wherewithal to do that. I'm on a Mac computer and I have a webcam. Now many of the Windows computers now are coming with webcams, and even your netbooks and stuff like that. So I'm going to record a little bit of what it looks like outside my window, and this is the view of Washington, D.C., and I'm going to start to pan around. Okay. You'll notice there's a beautiful road, residential area, and then right here, and see if I can see it. Sorry about that, guys. My camera went off. Recording, but I couldn't see it. Alright, so right here in the middle of the screen, if you'll look into that, I wished I could go in and out, you will see St. Augustine's Cathedral. This is not the prettiest view I've ever seen of Washington, D.C., but that's not the point. Really, the point is I wanted you to see how easy it is for you to take technology with you, and then I'll get on and talk about the philosophy of education. Like I said, I use a Mac computer. It's very easy for you to record your lecture, throw it up. It's really easy for you to do a recording. Like if I was downtown at the Monument Center, I could record this and show you a little bit of what was going on at the Monument Center yesterday with the cherry blossoms and all that. I did not take my computer with me yesterday because I didn't know we were going to go out. So I'm not going to have time to do that. That's what I had intended to do. But we went for lunch and we got caught up in the moment and went on to the Cherry Blossom Festival, and I didn't have a chance to take my computer with me. Okay, so enough about technology for today, and I'll get on with chapter 11, so I won't keep you too long, and you can get your coursework done and move on to another subject if you're taking multiple courses. All right, let me see if I can get the glare of that window away from me. All right, maybe this will be a little bit easier. Okay, this is chapter 10, and it's called the philosophy of education. Education and educational issues are now a national debate, where up until the 1980s, education had been more of a state and local issue. There are many forces pushing and pulling on education today. We all have different political, economical, cultural, and historical perspectives that are influencing us and what we bring to the arena of education. So because of that, we all have different educational philosophies. My educational philosophy is going to be different than yours. Yours is going to be different than your principal's. Mine is going to be different than my boss's. My boss is going to be different than his wife's. So we all have things that are influencing us and influencing our educational philosophies. And so it's important to remember that when you go into a school setting, that when you sit down to talk about the curriculum, or if you get down to talk about textbook adoption, those forces are going to be influencing the conversations that go on and the discourse that you have in that room. And discourse, if you'll remember, is more of a conversation and a debate. Discourse is not fighting or anything like that. That when I had somebody first tell me that discourse meant that there was a disconnect, and that's not the meaning of discourse. Discourse is conversational entities about a debate and about a conversation around a topic. And there are many different discourses that go on within education and in every area of our lives. All right, so it's important for us to understand our values and attitudes that have come to influence our lives. These influences, such as the political and cultural ideologies that we have, are filters that sway us in the actions that we take regarding education decisions and actions. So when you sit down to talk about the textbook adoption that you're going to have in your school, again, your influence are going to filter and sway you in the decisions that you make. That's why it's important for you to have a well-rounded knowledge of all areas of education, from the influences that come in, the political influences, and your own, and what those influences are doing toward your choices. I'd like for you to read on page 261 the story, A Day in the Life of. The teacher there was dealing with the selection of textbooks for their school. This story is a classic example of what educators deal with on a daily basis. You're going to deal with it at the K-12 level. I deal with it at the college level, and every day there's something that comes in that I have to make a decision about education, and the way that I make that decision, and if you'll notice in this story, the way that I make that decision is from my values and my attitudes. And you will do the same thing. And so we need to remember that sometimes that our values and attitudes aren't the values and attitudes of others. And our values and attitudes aren't necessarily what's best for your students. And so you need to remember that. All right, so I work at NMSU Carlsbad. We have many faculty and administrators here who have fundamental philosophical perspectives that are anti-online learning. Okay, so this was very difficult for me when I first started working there, because I was, all right, I love technology, I love online learning, because it helped me get my master's degree. I would not have been able to attain my master's degree had I not had distance ed and online learning. So I was very proactive toward online learning when they hired me there, and boom, I come up against a wall of administrators and faculty there who were very much against it. So like I said, my perspective was totally opposite, and I have to deal with that issue on a daily basis. Even today, am I right and they're wrong? Not necessarily. Are they right and I'm wrong? Not necessarily. It just means that we have different perspectives, and we have to negotiate those perspectives. There is truth and validity in all perspectives, and negotiation within and through different philosophical perspectives is the only way to work effectively as educators. Okay? Whether we are progressives, essentialists, perennialists, or reconstructionists, we must find value in other people's philosophical perspectives. Okay? This is not easy to do when they are utterly against your perspective, or vice versa. Like I said a while ago, I have faculty members who to this day at NMSU Carlsbad refuse to teach online. And so I think we ought to have every class on campus online, right? But if I only have one biology teacher, or if I only have one statistics teacher, which that's not the case, but I'm using those examples, and that's the only person that I have to teach that topic, or then I either have to look for adjuncts, which is very difficult to do, or we don't have that class online, which is a lot of times the case. Okay, so all of this comes down to the fact that this is why I keep reiterating to you the importance of being able to articulate and maintain a discourse about what your educational beliefs and understandings are. You must take ownership for your thoughts and your claims, and be able to back them up in an educated, critically analyzed manner. Okay? If you can't accurately discuss and debate the topics and issues of education, you can't formulate a convincing argument for the beliefs you hold. This is where this will almost guarantee you as a follower instead of an educational leader. If you can't argue your point and be articulate about it, then you'll wind up being a wallflower in the corner who won't talk. Okay? Today's educational enterprise needs agents of change, okay, who will stand up for children's learning experiences and teachers' teaching experiences to help us move the nation away from the system that only cares about accountability. Okay, if we want to argue against Nickleby, we have to be able to articulate our point in an educated, analyzed way. And so I keep hammering this home to you, but I hope that you get it. You have to understand the foundation and fundamentals of what we're talking about in education to be able to articulate your point. And so many times I come across people who can't do that. And so it's important for you to get the foundation from this course and the other intro courses and build on it for your future, okay? One of the questions I want to leave you with today is, are you prepared to be an agent for change? Think about that. I'll see you in chapter number 11. Thanks. Bye-bye.